Quantum whispers. The morning sun cast long shadows across the biodome as Dr. Nadia Cooper adjusted the nutrient flow to her prized specimens, hybrid tomatoes that shouldn't exist, according to 3 different textbooks. Their leaves shimmered with an iridescent quality that made them look more like exotic jewelry than vegetables, a side effect of the Kepler 442c soil that still baffled the research team after 8 months. "Come on, beautiful," she murmured to a particularly stubborn plant that kept trying to grow upside down. "Gravity works the same way here as it does on Earth. I checked the manual twice." The plant responded by producing a fruit that glowed faintly blue, as if mocking her attempts at conventional agriculture. Nadia sighed and made another note in her datapad. At this rate, her report would read like a fantasy novel, rather than serious xenobotanical research. "Those plants giving you trouble again, Doc?" asked a deep voice from the biodome entrance. Nadia turned to see Commander Ethan Kai watching her with amusement, his broad shoulders filling the doorframe. His inspection of the research station had been going on for 3 days, and she still couldn't decide if his presence was irritating or intriguing. "Nothing I can't handle, Commander," she replied, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. "Though I'd appreciate if you'd stop calling me Doc. Makes me feel like I should be treating patients instead of arguing with vegetables." He smiled, stepping into the dome. "Fair enough, Nadia." The way he said her name sent an unexpected warmth through her chest. "Though, from what I've seen, your relationship with these plants is more like a negotiation than an argument." "Is that your official assessment for Earth Command?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "That I'm negotiating with tomatoes?" "My assessment," he began, moving closer to examine the glowing fruit, "is that you're doing remarkable work under extraordinary circumstances, and that these," he gestured to the plants, "are unlike anything we've encountered on 17 colony worlds." Before she could respond, a sharp whistle echoed across the settlement's communication system. 3 long, 2 short. Incoming vessels. Nadia frowned, checking her chronometer. "No supply run scheduled for another 6 weeks. And that's not the emergency pattern," Kai added, his playful demeanor instantly replaced by the focused alertness of a military commander. "Stay here. I'll check it out." "Not a chance," she said, following him to the door. "Those are my plants out there, too." They stepped outside, squinting against the brilliant morning light. The sky above the settlement rippled like disturbed water, and 3 ships materialized from what had appeared to be empty air moments before. They descended with impossible grace, their crystalline hulls reflecting the landscape in fractured rainbow patterns. The vessels moved without any visible propulsion system, defying every principle of aerodynamics Nadia had ever studied. "Well, that's new," she said, activating her comm unit. "Sarah, are you seeing this?" Dr. Sarah Ishida's voice crackled through her implant. "Seeing it, documenting it, and trying not to wet myself. These quantum readings don't make sense, Nadia. They're off every chart we have." Other colonists emerged from their prefabricated structures, faces turned skyward with expressions ranging from wonder to barely controlled panic. Alex, the settlement security officer, already reaching for his sidearm, a gesture that seemed laughably inadequate given the circumstances. Kai moved protectively closer to Nadia, his arm brushing against hers. "Whatever happens, stay behind me." The largest of the 3 ships touched down in the settlement's central plaza with the gentleness of a falling feather. Its surface pulsed with internal light, creating patterns that seemed almost organic. A seam appeared in the hull, widening into an opening that revealed no airlock or decontamination chamber, just a soft pearl-colored glow. A figure emerged, and Nadia felt her breath catch in her throat. She was tall, perhaps 6.5 feet, with flowing silver hair that seemed to move of its own accord despite the still air. Her features were unmistakably humanoid, but refined in ways that spoke of evolution along a different path. Most striking was her purple skin, which shimmered with a subtle luminescence that made the colonists' utilitarian jumpsuits look painfully mundane by comparison. She wore robes that shifted color with each step, moving through shades of deep purple and midnight starlight. Behind her came others of her kind, their movements synchronized in a way that suggested either military training or some form of shared consciousness. The woman's gaze swept across the gathered humans before settling on Nadia with uncomfortable intensity. She approached directly, ignoring the other colonists who stepped aside with nervous deference. "Nadia Cooper, I am Queen Arya of the Volsari Dominion. We must speak." Nadia managed a weak smile, Well, Your Majesty, I'd offer you coffee, but our replicator's been on the fritz since Tuesday, and honestly, our hospitality protocols don't include impromptu royal visits. A ripple of what might have been amusement crossed Arya's features. Your customs are charmingly informal, but this is not a social visit. She gestured, and two of her guards brought forward a cylindrical container that hummed with barely contained energy. The bioasis pod was roughly the size of a coffin, its surface covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. The quantum communicators throughout the settlement began sparking and fizzing, their displays showing impossible readouts before going dark. Whatever technology the Vulsari used, it was playing havoc with human systems. "Great," Nadia muttered, watching her datapad screen flicker and die. "There goes 3 months of plant growth data." Arya's expression grew more serious. "The contents of this pod concern you directly, Nadia Cooper. What lies within will change everything you believe about your past." The hybrid tomatoes in the nearby biodome suddenly flared with brilliant light, their leaves shifting to colors that had no names in human language. Whatever was in that pod, even my impossible plants are reacting to it. Nadia looked from the mysterious container to the alien queen, her mind racing through possibilities both mundane and terrifying. She felt Kai's steadying presence beside her, his hand now resting on the small of her back. "Open it," Arya commanded softly, her expression conveying both authority and something that looked almost like hope. Echo of another life. Vapor escaped from the bioasis pod with a hiss that sounded like the universe taking a deep breath. The gases swirled in impossible spirals, defying the gentle breeze that should have dispersed them, and carried a scent that reminded Nadia of ozone mixed with something floral she couldn't identify, like lightning striking a garden on an alien world. Inside the pod, cushioned by what looked like liquid light that had somehow solidified into a soft, breathing material, lay a child. Nadia's first thought was that the boy couldn't be more than 4 years old. Her second thought was that age might not apply in the conventional sense. The child's skin held a subtle luminescence, shifting between pale human tones and a faint purple that seemed to pulse with his heartbeat. His hair was dark brown, with streaks of silver that caught the light like fiber optic cables, and when his eyes fluttered open, they revealed depths that belonged to someone far older than his apparent years. "Well," Nadia said, her voice slightly unsteady, "that's not what I was expecting, though, honestly, after 8 months on this planet, I'm not sure what qualifies as surprising anymore. Last week, my coffee maker started brewing tea, and I just rolled with it." The child sat up slowly, looking around with those impossibly deep eyes before focusing on Nadia. When he spoke, his voice carried the same harmonic quality as Queen Arya's, but lighter, more musical. "Why do your buildings look so sad? They have no curves at all." Dr. Sara Ishida pushed through the crowd, her scanner already beeping frantically. "Nadia, I need to run some basic medical checks. The readings I'm getting are—" She stopped, staring at her device. "That can't be right. According to this, his cellular structure is shifting in real time." "Shifting how?" Nadia asked, though she found herself moving protectively closer to the child. "Like his DNA is rewriting itself every few seconds," Sarah replied. "It's showing human markers, then something else entirely, then back again. This is either the most sophisticated biological adaptation I've ever seen, or our scanners are having a collective nervous breakdown." The child tilted his head, studying the scanner with curiosity. "Your metal boxes think very loudly. Do they always worry so much?" "Metal boxes?" Sarah looked confused. "He means your technology," Arya explained, her translator rendering her words with careful precision. "The Vulsari can perceive quantum resonances directly. To him, your devices have a form of consciousness, primitive but detectable." "Great," Nadia muttered. "So not only do we have a child who may or may not be aging backwards, but he can hear our computers having anxiety attacks. This day just keeps getting better." The child giggled, a sound like wind chimes made of starlight. "I like you. You taste funny when you talk." "Taste?" Nadia raised an eyebrow. "He perceives emotional resonances as flavors. Your humor registers as something unexpected. Most humans we encounter taste of fear or aggression." "Well, fear gives me indigestion, and aggression makes my plants grow sideways, so I stick with sarcasm. It's organic and locally sourced," Nadia replied, Commander Kai chuckled beside her, his shoulder brushing against hers in a way that felt unexpectedly comforting. The child reached out toward Nadia, and as their hands touched, the air around them shimmered. For a moment, the utilitarian settlement seemed to overlay with images of something else. Crystalline spires that grew like living things, forests of silver trees that sang in harmonious frequencies, and always, in the periphery of vision, a woman with purple skin, whose face remained frustratingly unclear. Nadia jerked her hand back, her heart racing. What was that? Tarak carries memories that are not entirely his own. The name means bridge in our language. He connects things that were meant to remain separate. Bridge to where? Sarah demanded, her scientific curiosity overriding diplomatic caution. And how is he able to access someone else's memories? Before Arya could answer, Tarak stood up in the pod, his small face scrunched in concentration. The air around him began to ripple, and suddenly half of his body seemed to phase out of normal space-time, becoming translucent and shifting like heat shimmer. "Tarak, no!" Arya's voice carried sharp alarm. "You must maintain cohesion in this dimensional phase." Too late. The child's loss of control sent quantum ripples through the settlement. The portable generators began cycling through power levels randomly. Lights flickered in patterns that hurt to watch, and Nadia's prized hybrid tomatoes suddenly started growing at visible speed, their fruits changing colors like a botanical light show. "I can't help it," Tarak said, his voice echoing strangely as part of him existed in normal space and part didn't. "Everything here is so solid. It makes me feel heavy." Alex, the security officer, backed away slowly. "Cooper, I don't suppose your botanical expertise covers interdimensional plant mutation because your vegetables are starting to look like they belong in a rave." "Unfortunately, quantum gardening for dummies wasn't in the required reading list, though I have to admit they've never looked more interesting." Commander Kai moved forward, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Whatever's happening, it seems centered on your connection with the boy." Arya approached Tarak, placing her hands on his shoulders. The quantum disturbance gradually subsided, and the child solidified back into normal space-time, looking exhausted from the effort. "He needs stability," she said, her gaze fixed intently on Nadia. "The human half of his nature requires emotional anchoring, while his Velsari heritage demands quantum coherence. Without both, he will continue to phase uncontrollably." "And why exactly are you telling me this?" Nadia asked, though deep down she already suspected the answer would change everything. Queen Arya's expression softened, the first crack in her regal composure. "Because according to our records and the genetic markers we have detected, you are the only human who can provide that anchor." The settlement fell silent except for the continued sparking of overloaded electronics and the soft humming of Nadia's now luminescent tomatoes. "Right, so just to clarify, you're telling me that this interdimensional child with a fondness for architectural criticism and the ability to turn my life's work into a botanical light show is somehow connected to me personally?" "More than connected," Arya said quietly. "Nadia Cooper, meet your son." The word son hung in the air like a malfunctioning gravity field, warping everything around it until Nadia felt like she was floating in vacuum. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again, performing what Sarah would later describe as a remarkable impression of a confused fish. "My what now?" Because I'm pretty sure I'd remember having a child, especially one that can phase through dimensions and critique our architectural choices. That seems like the sort of thing that would stick in the memory banks. Tarak looked up at her with those impossibly deep eyes and smiled. "You smell like home, but also like confusion. It tastes purple." "Purple confusion?" "Great. That's definitely going in my personal log under things I never expected to hear." Commander Kai stepped closer, his presence a steadying force as Nadia's world tilted on its axis. His hand found hers and squeezed gently, a silent, "I'm here," that anchored her to reality when nothing else made sense. "Your memories were altered, Nadia Cooper. The process was meant to protect both our species from political upheaval, but something has gone wrong." "Altered how?" Sarah demanded, her scanner still beeping frantically as it tried to make sense of Tarek's shifting biology. "And by whom?" "That," Arya said carefully, "is a longer conversation, requiring more secure surroundings." As if summoned by her words, the settlement's quantum field generators began emitting a low harmonic whine. The air itself seemed to thicken, taking on a consistency somewhere between normal atmosphere and cosmic jelly. "Oh, come on," Alex groaned, tapping his malfunctioning comm unit. "First, the kid turns the vegetables into a disco. Now reality's getting wonky. I signed up to shoot things that might eat colonists, not deal with interdimensional technical difficulties." Nadia felt a strange tingling in her temples, like memories trying to surface through thick fog. Images flickered at the edge of her consciousness, a laboratory filled with impossible geometries, equations that seemed to write themselves, and always, maddeningly, that woman with purple skin whose face remained just out of focus. "The quantum distortion is increasing," Sarah reported, her voice tight with scientific excitement mixed with healthy terror. "Whatever's causing it, it's centered on you, Nadia." "Wonderful. I've gone from being a simple botanist to being a walking reality anomaly. Next you'll tell me I'm allergic to normal spacetime." The giggle giggled and pointed at the biodome where Nadia's hybrid plants were now performing what could only be described as a synchronized growing routine, their leaves pulsing in rhythm with the quantum field fluctuations. "Your green children are dancing," the boy said delightedly. "They remember you, too." "Remember me? They're tomatoes." Admittedly, they're tomatoes that have been exposed to alien soil and apparently respond to quantum fields like teenagers at a concert, but they're still vegetables. "Everything remembers," Arya said quietly. "That is the nature of quantum entanglement. Actions create connections that persist across time and space. Your work with those plants, your relationship with—" She stopped abruptly. "With who?" Nadia pressed. "You were about to say something about a relationship. Who did I know that I can't remember?" The quantum field generators reached a crescendo of harmonic whining, then suddenly cut out entirely. In the ensuing silence, Commander Kai wrapped a protective arm around her shoulders, his warmth a stark contrast to the cosmic chill that seemed to be seeping into her bones.
Fragments of truth. "Nadia, you need to see this," Sarah said urgently. "Your biosignature is matching his." She held up her scanner, its display showing two identical waveforms pulsing in perfect synchronization. "Whatever genetic markers we're detecting in Tarek, you're showing the same patterns." "That's impossible. I'm fully human," Nadia protested. "I have the medical records to prove it." But even as she said it, she felt something shifting inside her, like doors opening in rooms she'd forgotten existed. The laboratory images grew clearer, and with them came emotions, joy, wonder, and a love so profound it made her chest ache with phantom loss. "The suppression is breaking down," Arya observed, studying her with calculating eyes. "The quantum resonance between mother and son is overriding the neural blocks." "Neural blocks?" Nadia's voice rose an octave. "Someone performed brain surgery on me, and I don't remember? That seems like the sort of thing that should come with a warranty, or at least a user manual." "Mama." Tarek's small voice cut through Nadia's mounting panic. The boy had climbed out of the bioasis pod and was approaching hesitantly. "Why do you taste scared? I don't like it when you're scared." The word "mama" hit Nadia like a photon torpedo to the emotional core. Without conscious thought, she knelt down to Tarek's eye level, studying the child's face with new intensity. The eyes, the shape of the nose, even the way the boy tilted his head when curious. There were echoes of familiarity that felt like coming home and falling into an abyss simultaneously. "I'm not scared," she lied gently. "I'm just processing some unexpected data, like finding out your pet cactus is actually a sentient being with opinions about interior decorating." Tarek reached out and touched Nadia's forehead with one small finger. The contact sent a surge of images through her mind, clearer now, more detailed. The laboratory, yes, but also gardens of impossible beauty, the touch of someone's hand against her skin, a whispered promise in a language she shouldn't understand, but somehow did. Commander Kai knelt beside her, his steady presence the only thing keeping her from falling completely into the maelstrom of recovered memories. "I'm here," he said simply, his voice low and intimate. "Whatever this is, whatever you're remembering, you're not facing it alone." Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. In the midst of cosmic impossibility and reality-bending revelations, this connection felt solid and real, a tether to hold on to when everything else was in flux. Without thinking, Nadia leaned forward and pressed her lips against his. The kiss was brief, but intense, a moment of human connection amidst alien revelations. When they broke apart, Kai smiled that half-smile that had been distracting her since he'd stepped off the transport.
Been wanting to do that since I stepped off the transport, he admitted. Your timing is terrible, she replied, but couldn't help returning his smile. Your quantum resonance patterns are stabilizing, Sarah interrupted, her scanner beeping with a more regular rhythm. Whatever just happened, it's having a positive effect on the dimensional fluctuations. Human emotional bonding creates its own quantum field, Ari explained with what might be the Velsari equivalent of a smirk. It appears Commander Kai's presence is beneficial to both of you. Tarek watched them with those ancient eyes in a child's face. Does this mean he's my new papa? He asked innocently, because I like how he tastes, like thunder before rain.
The veil between worlds. We need to move this discussion somewhere more secure, Arya said, as the settlement systems continued to malfunction around them. The quantum disturbances will only worsen as Nadia's memories return. Commander Kai nodded, rising to his feet and helping Nadia up. My quarters are shielded for sensitive communications. They should provide some protection from whatever's happening. The small group made their way across the settlement, Tarek holding tightly to Nadia's hand as if afraid she might disappear. Sarah followed with her scanner, still recording everything, while Alex maintained a perimeter, though his weapon remained holstered. The Velsari guards moved with liquid grace, forming a protective formation around their queen. Inside Kai's quarters, the air felt noticeably calmer. The quantum shielding, designed to prevent eavesdropping, was inadvertently dampening the reality fluctuations. As the door closed behind them, Nadia felt a weight lift from her shoulders, though the questions remained heavy on her mind. "Start talking," she said to Arya. "What happened to me? Who is Tarek's father? And why can't I remember any of it?" Queen Arya sank gracefully into a chair, her purple skin luminescent in the dim light. 5 Earth years ago, you were part of a first-contact scientific expedition to Velsari space. Your brilliance with adaptive biology caught the attention of our scientific community, and the attention of my brother, Prince Orion. The name sent a shockwave through Nodding's system. Images flooded her consciousness. A tall Velsari male with striking features and eyes that seemed to see straight through conventional reality. Their first meeting in the botanical gardens, their stolen moments in the quantum observatory, their nights together exploring the boundaries between two species. "We fell in love," she whispered, the realization stunning her. "That's not possible. The biochemistry, the physiological differences." "The Velsari are quantum beings as much as biological ones. Our physical form is more adaptable than yours. When two resonate on a quantum level, physical compatibility follows." Sarah was furiously taking notes. This explains the anomalous readings in Tarek's cellular structure. He's literally oscillating between 2 genetic templates. "But why erase my memory? Why take my child from me?" Her voice broke on the last words. Arya's expression darkened. The High Council discovered your relationship. They saw Tarek as a threat to our genetic purity, a half-human child born to the royal bloodline. There were those who wanted you both eliminated. My brother sacrificed himself, creating a quantum barrier that allowed us to smuggle you back to Earth. And my memories? A necessary protection, both for you and for Tarek. Your mind could not have withstood the grief of remembering while being unable to return. And we needed to ensure you would not try to find us before it was safe. "Safe from what?" Kai asked, his hand finding Nadia's and squeezing gently. "The council has fallen," Arya said. "Those who opposed your union have been removed from power. But in their desperation, they have reached out to certain factions in your Earth government, humans who would weaponize our quantum technology." Tarek, who had been quietly playing with a small quantum toy, suddenly looked up. "They're coming," he said, his voice echoing strangely. "The bad people, the ones who want to cut me open and see how I work." The room's lights flickered as reality rippled around the boy. "Earth military intelligence?" Kai cursed. "They must have tracked the Velsari ships." "We don't have much time," Arya said, rising. "Nadia, you must choose.
Your life here or your true heritage? With your son? With us? Nadia looked from Tarek to Kai and back again, torn between two worlds, two lives, two loves. I need more time, she whispered. Kai pulled her close, kissing her with unexpected passion. Whatever you decide, he murmured against her lips, I'm with you. The settlement alarm began to wail. Outside, transport ships were descending. Earth ships. Convergence. General Isabella Ward, of Earth Military Intelligence, stood in the center of the settlement plaza, her posture rigid, her expression cold. Commander Kai, you are hereby relieved of duty. By order of the Joint Chiefs, this research station is under military control. On what grounds? Kai demanded, standing protectively in front of Nadia and Tarek. Queen Arya and her guards had temporarily retreated to their ships, but remained in orbit, unwilling to abandon them. Anomalous alien contact, harboring non-human entities, quantum contamination. Ward listed the charges with clinical detachment, and treason, Commander, conspiring with alien forces. That's absurd, Sarah protested. We're scientists, not spies. Ward ignored her, turning instead to the squad of heavily armed soldiers flanking her. Secure the alien child and Dr. Cooper for transport to Earth Intelligence Headquarters. You're not taking my son, Nadia said, her voice steady, despite the fear coursing through her. The fragments of memory had coalesced into something whole. Her life with the Velsari, the love she had shared with Prince Orion, the birth of their son, and the desperate measures taken to protect them both. Your son? Ward's eyebrow raised. How interesting. Your file indicates no children, Dr. Cooper, and certainly no half-alien offspring. My file is incomplete, Nadia replied, feeling a strange calm settle over her. Just like your understanding of what you're dealing with. The quantum fluctuations that had been building throughout the settlement suddenly intensified. The air shimmered with potential energy as reality itself seemed to flex and bend. Buildings wavered like mirages, lights flickered in impossible patterns, and the hybrid plants in Nadia's biodome began to glow with blinding intensity. What's happening? Ward demanded as her soldiers raised their weapons. You're witnessing quantum entanglement on a macro scale, Nadia explained, feeling the power flowing through her. The neural blocks were completely gone now, her full awareness, her full potential restored. My son and I are connected at a quantum level, and now that I remember who I am, what I am, your weapons are rather pointless. She reached down, taking Tarek's small hand in hers. The boy smiled up to her, his form shifting slightly between dimensions. I knew you'd remember, Mama. The Purple Lady said you would. Commander Kai stepped forward, taking Nadia's butter hand, completing the circuit. I don't entirely understand what's happening, but I meant what I said. Whatever you decide, wherever you go, I'm with you. The quantum resonance between them intensified, creating a field that pushed Ward and her soldiers back. The crystalline Velsari ships descended once more, opening like exotic flowers. Queen Arya emerged, her purple skin glowing with internal light. Sister, she said, extending her hand to Nadia, it is time to come home. Sister, Ward sputtered, what madness is this? No madness, Nadia replied, as the full truth settled in her consciousness. I'm not entirely human, General. I never was. The experiment that brought me to Earth was to study human biology from within. But then I fell in love with your world, with your people. And now it seems I've fallen in love again. Tarek giggled. Does this mean we're staying, Mama? Nadia looked at the 3 paths before her, return to Velsari space with her son and reclaim her royal heritage, return to Earth with Kai, abandoning her true nature, or forge something new, something unprecedented. None of us are staying, and none of us are leaving. We're building something new, a bridge between worlds. That's what you are, isn't it? A bridge.
The first of many, Arya agreed, if your people and ours can move beyond fear. General Ward watched the standoff, her tactical mind calculating the odds. And if we refuse this bridge, then you lose access to quantum technology that would advance Earth centuries beyond your current capabilities. And I take my son somewhere you'll never find us. The Joint Chiefs won't like negotiating with aliens. Then don't think of it as negotiation. Think of it as family counseling. After all, we're all just trying to find our place in a very strange universe. As the quantum field stabilized around them, the first rays of sunrise broke over the horizon, casting long shadows across a settlement forever changed by the bridge between worlds that had opened in their midst. A botanist, who was also a princess, a soldier who chose love over duty, a child who existed between realities, and the promise of a future where the stars themselves were no longer a barrier, but a bridge.